we will start off with ways to use visitors to tonight. So do we have any community comments? No comments? Okay, so we will move on. Any commissioner comments? All right. So we will go over consent agenda.
We don't have any.
You know, there is no step for that. I'm going to make a motion to accept our minutes from our August 16th, 2022 meeting. As a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Minutes are carried.
Your failure on its life in jail is smart to justice.
Our secretary is printing us out on paper for us.
Excuse me, Buck. We have a bunch of people waiting in the waiting room that have not been allowed in the meeting, and I just thought I'd let you know that.
All right, we'll have our secretary take care of that right now.
All right, thank you.
People in the waiting room there. Thank you.
Yep.
Is it full? So I make a motion to approve vouchers 171 through 181. All in favor? Aye. Carried. Good. So. Everybody admitted? So you're ready for the auditor? So can we share the screen? I'm not sure how you share the screen. But share the screen for Megan.
This is Pat McCarthy. Can you hear me or see me?
I can hear you. Can you hear us, Pat?
It says host disabled attendee screen sharing on my screen. Are you able to share my screen?
Let's see. I have the ability to share screen now, but Pat, are you wanting to share your
Yes.
screen? Okay.
Yes.
Pat,
We are trying.
Yeah.
I see you on the large screen at this time, if you want to.
Okay, I can go ahead and start talking.
Excellent.
This is the beauty and the challenge of Zoom. I will tell you that. Hello, everyone. I am your state auditor, Pat McCarthy, and with me is our director of local audit, Kelly Collins, and maybe you could just wave, Kelly, if they can see your screen. And assistant director of local audit, Tina Watkins, special investigation program manager, Stephanie Sullivan, and assistant audit manager, Megan McFarland. I am here to emphasize my own concerns about the issues we have found in the course of our audit and special investigations. I know it can be challenging to manage local government, but the issues we raised are all intended to serve your community. Our role in the state auditor's office is to provide an independent, objective review of every local government in the state of Washington. And so I'm going to ask Tina to give us an overview of our work.
Thank you, Pat. I would definitely like to get us started. So today we are meeting, the purpose of our attendance today is to share the results of our audits and it's our opportunity, it's our second opportunity actually, to connect directly with the full Board of Commissioners for the Fire District. We have provided the board a packet of information. Actually, Megan is sharing that on the screen right now, and we'll be referencing this packet throughout our presentation today. It has a couple of pages of just our table of contents and some housekeeping items. It also contains our full investigative report and our full accountability report, which we plan on publishing later today. So those are the materials that we will be going through. We also understand that the board may have questions for us, and we are fully prepared to stay and answer some questions from the board as we complete our presentation today. We just wanted to make sure that you were aware of that. You might recall that I actually attended our first open public meeting late last year with the district. And I would like to just share that this audit has been extremely challenging. I've been around for about 28 years with the state auditor's office, and I rarely, if ever, have encountered honestly a more challenging engagement to connect with our client and make sure that even our most basic requests are followed through on. I want to assure you that throughout the entire engagement, we held weekly status meetings with one member of the board, not the full board, of course, and the fire chief. And during those meetings, it was our mission to make sure that we were clearly communicating and asking for the information that we needed. Unfortunately, the district was unable to provide us with supporting documentation for our basic requests. We ask for items that are required to be maintained by state law. And the majority of local governments that we work with are able to provide that information as a part of their audit engagement. And that would include the over 350 fire protection districts that we audit on a regular basis. Because of this, you will see, and we'll explain today, that we did resort to additional audit procedures to obtain information, and that would include things such as reaching out to other local governments and also issuing subpoenas for certain records, such as those from banks and other vendors as well. So first off, what we're going to do is walk through our fraud investigation report, and Stephanie Sullivan is here on the line and able to present that report to the board.
Hello, can you hear me? Just
Yeah.
making sure. Perfect. So on the screen here is our cover sheet for our fraud investigation report that was published today. And that contains the results of our investigation of the unallowable and questionable activities at the district. And as you'll see on the cover page of the report, it talks about that we covered a period of review from January 1, 2017 through July 31 of 2022. Now we can move into page 3 of our report. We have an investigation summary at the top, which provides our high-level conclusions. And as you'll see in the summary, we've determined a total of $68,672 in misappropriation occurred between October of 2017 to July 2022. And $95,093 in questionable amounts occurred between May 2017 and July 2022. In the table just below the first paragraph, we summarize by district position and area the amounts determined to be misappropriation and questionable. Now, amounts that we determined to be misappropriation, as Tina briefly mentioned, were based on our review of documents that did include records that we sent subpoenas out for. And those records showed personal items were purchased with public funds. Amounts we determined questionable were for transactions we were unable to determine whether the expense was legitimate business purpose or not. Just below that table, we discuss our recommendations for filing a police report, and that we will also be referring this report to the Mason County Prosecuting Attorney's Office and Internal Revenue Service for further review. As you go through the rest of the report, we've summarized our conclusions by area and do provide more details about those conclusions within that report. The report is published and available on our website as of now. So if you choose to read further details, we encourage you to pull down our report. Moving towards the last part of our report, we discussed the control weaknesses which allowed for the misappropriation to occur, and end with our recommendations for the district to strengthen multiple areas of internal controls to safeguard public resources. We also further recommend the district seek recovery of the misappropriated $68,672, including questionable amounts of $95,093 as appropriate, and our related investigation costs from the district employees named in the table highlighted above in the investigation summary. As you will also notice, just below our recommendations is a section that includes the district's response to our report, which was provided to us by the district and the district's attorney. And so with that, I will hand it over to Megan to continue through the accountability report.
There's
Thank you.
people trying to call into the meeting. Could you please let them in?
Okay, we'll continue on here. Thank you, Stephanie. If you go to page 14 of your exit packet, that is the start of the accountability audit report. So the purpose of an accountability audit is to determine whether the district has complied with state laws, contracts, and your own policies and procedures, and whether there are adequate controls in place to ensure public funds are properly safeguarded. The accountability audit covered the period from January 1, 2017 through December 31st, 2020. This report will be published today, just shortly after this meeting. At the top of page 17, within that exit conference packet that I had sent you, we include a summary of the results of the accountability audit. We found in the areas we examined, the district did not comply with applicable state laws and regulations. Also, the district did not provide adequate controls over the safeguarding of public resources. Our report includes recommendations over several areas that were combined into two findings that we'll discuss in a few minutes. The first finding includes recommendations for compliance with conflict of interest and code of ethics, Open Public Meetings Act, annual filing of financial reports, and use of the district vehicle. And then a second finding we'll discuss includes recommendations made for internal controls over disbursements, payroll, and cash receipting. The accountability report also gives some background information about the district's governing body and staff and some of the key roles that they play. And then continuing on to page 18, we also talk about the audit period. Historically, the district's audits have been a 2-year limited scope assessment audit because it's limited revenues and clean audit history. This year was a little bit different though. In February 2020, we first started reaching out to the district to request the 2018 and 19 financial statements be submitted. And after several months of working with the district to get the report submitted, we were able to start the normal assessment audit that was to cover the 2017 through 19 period. However, we continued to experience delays and noted several risks when requesting subsequent supporting records. In September 2021, we expanded the audit from a limited assessment audit to a more in-depth accountability audit of fiscal years 2017 through 2020. This accountability audit covered all the areas previously mentioned that had recommendations, as well as a few others, such as compliance with the fire chief's employment contract terms for insurance benefits, and then also financial condition, reviewing the district's overall financial condition. So moving to page 20 of your exit packet, we'll take a look at the first finding, and I'll just give you a brief summary of the different sections within that finding. So the first finding says the district's governing officials and management disregarded state laws when performing essential government functions. In our review of compliance with conflict of interest and code of ethics, we noted one of the commissioners was receiving pay for providing maintenance services on district vehicles. And 2 instances were noted when his pay exceeded the monthly statute limit. Under the Open Public Meetings Act, the act requires regular meetings be held in accordance with a fixed schedule. And information about the meeting day, time, and location should be communicated to the public in a manner that allows the meetings to be open and public, and all persons should be permitted to attend. Our audit found the district did not provide adequate notice for the information necessary for the public to attend. And we also found instances when members of the public were not admitted into virtual meetings in a timely manner, if at all. And the meetings were not being held at the regularly scheduled times, at least during 2020 and 2021. Meeting times were found to be inconsistent and unpredictable. We also noted voucher payments were not properly approved in the meeting minutes since 2018, and there was no documentation of review or approval of prior board meeting minutes in the minutes that we had reviewed. Next was our review of the annual filing of financial reports. State law requires local governments to submit their annual financial reports to our office within 150 days of their fiscal year end. And the district submitted its 2018 and 19 annual reports 496 and 99 days after their respective deadline. And as of August 1st, 2022, the district had not submitted its 2020 and 2021 annual reports. So the last area in this finding was for the use of district vehicle. We noted the fire chief's employment contract allows for the use of a district vehicle at all times. However, there are state laws that prohibit the gifting, lending, or receiving a private benefit from public resources. A de minimis or a small, insignificant amount for personal use between home and district business is considered reasonable. However, we noted instances when the fire chief used the district vehicle for personal uses that exceeded a reasonable de minimis use. For all these areas, non-compliance and an overall lack of adequate monitoring by the district management and the board was due in part to nepotism within the district. The relationships between the fire chief, secretary, and a board member led the board to trust district employees even more unquestionably than it ordinarily would. Further, management and the board did not have an adequate understanding of the state laws governing it. Under the effect of condition, we noted the board's disregard for state laws and lack of transparency limits the public's knowledge and understanding of district business. And the board's lack of understanding also limits its own ability to implement the controls and policies necessary to ensure compliance with those laws. For recommendations, we recommend the district establish a nepotism policy and controls so that immediate family members do not have the authority to appoint, supervise, discipline, or remove other relatives from their employment. We also recommend the district review and comply with state laws governing restrictions on public officers and the Open Public Meetings Act. Lastly, we recommend the district establish a policy on appropriate and allowable use of district assets, including vehicles, and implement controls to ensure these assets are used appropriately. Oh, sorry, jump pages there. Starting on page 23 of the report in that same finding, we've included the district's response to our finding within the audit report. We appreciate the board's stated intent in their response to improve and would like to remind the board it is their duty to gain the knowledge necessary to ensure accountability and safeguarding of public resources, as well as compliance with state laws. So the next finding, starting on page 26 of the exit conference packet, states the district lacked adequate procedures over its essential financial functions, including disbursements, payroll, and cash receiving to ensure adequate safeguarding of public resources. So we'll take a look at disbursements first. Our review of disbursements found the district did not adequately review them to ensure they were supported, accurate, or allowable. The district also did not safeguard records from loss or destruction. We had requested 30 disbursements for audit. 15 of these lacked support, and of those 15, 8 were for reimbursement payments to the fire chief, totaling almost $10,600. In addition, one payment to a vendor was noted as unallowable because it was paid in advance of receiving services. Also, we noted that while the district's policy is for all 3 commissioners to approve the warrant register, most of the time it was only approved by 1 commissioner and the chief. Moving to payroll. The district lacked controls over payroll and leave payouts. Of the 21 payroll disbursements requested for testing, 10 were not supported, and 8 of these, totaling $21,700, were paid to the fire chief. We also found the district has not submitted reports or payroll withholding payments to the IRS or state of Washington since the end of 2018. Lastly, the district did not have controls in place to track leave accruals, usage, or payouts. In cash receiving, the district did not ensure it accounted for or deposited all public funds. So the district receives a small amount for BLS and fire protection services each year. And our review of payments made by Merriam Knight School District for these services found 8 payments were made payable directly to a commissioner, secretary, fire chief, and the captain, and not to the district itself. All of these checks were cashed by those individuals, but not deposited into a fire district account. There were also 4 payments that were made payable directly to the fire district since August 2019 that still have not been cashed or deposited into a district account. As noted in the previous finding, nepotism was a leading cause of these conditions. And additionally, the board did not have controls and policies in place to protect from the misappropriation or misuse of public resources and safeguarding of records. And the effect of these conditions resulted in a misappropriation of public funds that the board did not detect, which was described by Stephanie earlier in this meeting. In addition, we also want to point out that untimely payment of outstanding balances, including payroll withholdings, prevents anyone from having an accurate and complete picture of the district's financial condition. In our recommendations, we want to communicate it is important that the board understand their roles and duties as elected officials, including appointing qualified staff to carry out the district's duties. It's the board's responsibility to ensure adequate oversight and controls are in place to manage and safeguard public resources. We recommend at a minimum, the board establish a nepotism policy, obtain and keep sufficient documentation to support all disbursements, including payroll, and verify those disbursements and payroll transactions are properly calculated, supported, and allowable before approving them for payment. We further recommend the board ensure staff responsible for processing payroll is adequately trained and that controls over cash receiving are adequate to ensure all district funds are deposited into a district account in a timely manner. Starting on the bottom of page 28 and then going into page 29, again, we've included the district's response in its entirety within our audit report. For both accountability audit findings, we will follow up on the district's corrective actions during the next audit. So we have just a few more items to communicate from our exit conference handout on page 1 of your packet before we wrap up. Under the header finalizing your audit, our audit reports are published on our website for anyone to access. Or you can subscribe using the link that was provided in your packet to receive those reports via email, or notification of when those reports are released and information about how to find them. We've also included a copy of the management representation letter that was signed by the board and provided to us at the end of your packet. Thank you for getting that completed and returned before this meeting today. And then we've also included an updated estimate of the accountability audit costs in your packet and provided you an estimate for that you can use for budgeting purposes for your next accountability audit. And that next accountability audit will be for fiscal years 2021 and 2022, which we plan to start in the fall of 2023. So with that, I'd like to turn it back over to State Auditor Pat McCarthy to wrap up our presentation of results, and then we will answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you, Megan. I appreciate what your reports have shown. I would like to tell you, commissioners, that before I became state auditor, I was the county executive in Pierce County as well as the county auditor. And was incumbent upon me as an elected, just like with you, that we owe fiscal stewardship to the citizens we serve. And I know and have great respect for the work of fire districts and fire departments. I sat on South Sound 911, which included small, rural, urban, and suburban representation on that board, as well as fire districts and fire departments. But what these reports represent is a tremendous failure of fiscal responsibility, to be quite frank. And I want to personally ask you to follow your civic responsibilities to the public you serve. I appreciate your intent to do better in the future. I understand that you may feel like taken aback of some of these findings. I think it is very disconcerting. However, it is your duty, like it is mine as an elected official, to know the law. It is your duty to establish appropriate internal controls, including oversight and review of your financial activity. That means taking concrete steps to follow the law and ensure accountability for the use and safeguarding of public resources, as well as being transparent in district operations. As you know, there's a high level of concern regarding your fire district. We will provide copies of these reports, as Megan alluded to the county prosecutor's office and the attorney general's office, so they are able to review all of the information we have discussed today. These are significant issues. These will be press interest in these reports. There are public management resources available to you to help you operate effectively. Your own fire association can help, the MSRC, and we have a plethora of, on our non-audit side of our operations, of resources and training that you can take. So you need to reach out and get some help. We certainly want to see you succeed, and we want to thank you for your time today.
Brian, Senator, do you have any comments you'd like to add?
Just, appreciate, as always, the efforts of the state auditor's office and doing the job that you're tasked with doing. I would, in terms of public comment and advice to the board, I would at this point just defer to our written responses and the reports. We will be addressing these issues as we move forward. But we have provided a written response that summarizes the position of the board. The audit process is somewhat difficult for a board in this position to able to fully respond to the audit because we're not given a lot of time, nor a lot of space, nor a lot of the documents that the auditor had to rely on this. I understand the auditor had to get some of these documents from third parties because they weren't available to the district. But we do take this seriously. I will be working with the district. We have on the agenda this afternoon potential hiring of an attorney to come in and assist with an investigation so they can fully comply with the audit reports and look into these matters. As the report indicates, they do believe that a lot of this that the auditor found as misappropriation is not, but that's why we're going to do the investigation. And we do take it seriously. So we will be moving forward, working to improve things and to address the concerns of the auditor, with the expectation that the concerns of the auditor were more reflective of the lack of documentation than what actually might have occurred. So unless there are any questions from the board, I kind of think that would be my recommended statement from the board at this meeting today.
I have no. We thank everybody from the auditor's office for their time and effort, and we will move on to our new business, which I would like to make a motion to authorize our district legal counsel, Brian Snurr, to retain attorney Tom Burke to assist the district in investigating the allegations contained in the state auditor's fraud investigation report. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Vote is carried. I don't believe we have any correspondence at this time. So, most of the commissioners have anything additional? I have nothing else.
Are you guys going to open it up for public comment or questions from the community?
We're going to leave it with our attorney's statement at this time. So I make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 2:43. Second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Thank everybody for attending.